So, today we're going to dive into a really powerful idea, one that suggests that by releasing our grip on how things should be, we can actually change our lives in some pretty incredible ways. You know that feeling, right? That low-level hum of anxiety that's just always there in the background. It's this sense that you're constantly bracing for something, even when things are going great. If you've ever felt that, trust me, you are not alone. And here's the big idea we're going to explore. What if that weight, that pressure, isn't some kind of personal flaw? What if it's actually something we're holding on to without even realizing it? The problem isn't you, it's what you're attached to.
Okay, so let's start there. Let's really try to identify this unseen weight. What exactly are these attachments, and how are they holding us back, often completely under the radar?
So when we use the word attachment here, it's really specific. We're not talking about loving your family or your friends. That's healthy connection. We're talking about a rigid need for things to be a certain way. You know, a rigid connection to a specific outcome, what people must think of you, or the future you have to have. It's that inflexibility that just quietly eats away at our peace of mind.
So that naturally leads to the next question, right? What are we getting trapped by? Let's take a look at some of the most common attachment traps that we all tend to fall into. The source material really boils it down to these three big ones. First, there's that deep need to control everything. Then, you've got the desire for everyone's approval. Sound familiar? And finally, there's the heavy pressure to live up to all sorts of external expectations, whether they come from society, family, or even from ourselves.
And this table just lays out the trade-off perfectly. I mean, think about it. Our attachment to control. It feels so productive, doesn't it? But it's really just driven by a fear of the unknown. And the price we pay is constant anxiety. Then there's approval. We chase it because we're afraid of being judged, but the cost is our own authenticity. Every time we bite our tongue or pretend to be someone we're not. And those expectations? They're fueled by a fear of failure, and they just rob us of the freedom to actually choose a life we want.
And here's a really crucial point. We don't just dream these things up on our own. Society often celebrates control, it encourages people-pleasing, and it definitely sets some very narrow ideas about what success looks like. So these outside pressures just keep reinforcing the very things that pull us away from who we really are.
Okay, so we've laid out the problem. We see the traps. It can feel a little heavy for sure. But what's the way out? Well, this brings us to the good part, the solution, what the source material calls the art of letting go.
I love this, the illusion of control. It's such a powerful way to put it. It basically says that the freedom we're all looking for, it doesn't come from getting more control. It comes from finally realizing we never really had it in the first place. And letting go of that illusion, that's the real first step.
And let's be super clear about something. Letting go does not mean giving up. It's not passive, it's not apathetic. It's actually a very active, conscious choice. It's about looking at a situation and accepting that it won't be perfect, and that's okay. It's about intentionally putting down those heavy burdens so you can pick up something way more valuable, your own freedom.
So how do we actually, do it? Well, it can be broken down into three pretty simple steps. First, just acknowledge the fear that's driving the attachment. Say it out loud without judgment. Okay, I'm afraid of what they'll think. Second, you actively accept imperfection. Remind yourself that a messy, real life is a good life. And third, whenever you can, you choose authenticity. You ask yourself, what do I really want? Instead of, what are they going to think of?
And what's so amazing is that when you start to do this, even in tiny ways, a shift starts to happen. You stop letting fear run the show, and you start on this incredible journey of finding and actually living as your true self.
And the difference is just night and day. On one side, you have a life filled with anxiety, fear, and constant striving. On the other, you have a life of ease and presence. You go from being shaped by everyone else's judgment to being guided by your own inner freedom. You're not performing anymore. You're just being.
And the benefits are just so real. You get this incredible clarity because your mind isn't so clouded by fear. You feel a genuine sense of lightness because you've dropped all that weight. You find you can handle life's challenges with way more grace because you're not fighting reality anymore. You're working with it. And best of all, you're just living a life that feels like you.
So really, this whole idea isn't another rule you have to follow or another thing to be perfect at. Just think of it as a gentle invitation. An invitation to stop trying so hard to be the person you think you should be, and to just step into the life that is and always has been authentically yours. And that leaves us with this final question.
It doesn't have to be some huge, life-altering thing. Just think for a second. What is one small thing, one tiny expectation, one need for approval, one little bit of control that you could maybe, just maybe, loosen your grip on, starting right now? What would that be for you?